Joining us now is Kurt Bardella, former House Oversight Committee spokesperson for Republicans. He is also the publisher of the Watchdog Report on Substack and co-host of the Party Lines podcast. Welcome, Kurt.
Hey, Kurt, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the table. Nice to have you here. So,
I just want to know, how did all these Republicans get on the show today? I skipped the 3 p.m. call for one day, and now we got all these Republicans in the corner.
Let the record show, unlike my friend here, I'm a Democrat. I left the party.
But he's still, we got strings, and, you know, they don't call me the chairman for nothing.
If he were still the chairman, I'd probably still be a Republican.
So, here's the deal. How stupid is this? That you go on national television and sit down and brag about getting a $24 million contract with the government that your daddy runs and not think that somebody is going to have something to say about it.
I want you to imagine what the Republican reaction would have been had Hunter Biden gone on MS Now.
I'm just going to pause you, listen to Fox News, and then keep talking. Play the Fox News clip.
Understand, prior to Joe Biden becoming the president, there was no market for Hunter Biden, okay? He wasn't a known commodity in the art world. There was no demand for this. So it looks a little ridiculous that they might be peddling a little influence here.
His main source of income were his paintings, which we were selling for up to $500,000 a piece. Who was going to pay him $500,000 for a painting if his father wasn't president?
Given the history of selling the Biden name for access for meetings or access to the former vice president when he was not in the Oval Office, there are big questions here about what the motivation is behind the buyers of this, as you would say, crap art.
So that's 2021. Fox was really upset about this.
Yeah. Talking about a $250,000 painting. This is a $24 million government contract that's been handed out. And it's not the only one that they're going for. There's a company called Powerus. It's a drone company backed by Eric and Donald. They're trying to get DoD contracts. There's American Ventures LLC. It's an MMA company that's trying to get Pentagon contracts to train our service members to fight like MMA. They're trying to get government contracts from the Pentagon. This is a pattern that we're seeing over and over and over. And what we need Democrats to do at the Oversight Committee and the Armed Services Committee now, and if they get subpoena power back, is look at every single one of these deals, every single one of these contracts, and find out what role, if any, did Donald and Eric Trump Jr. play in acquiring these contracts? What role, if any, did their name, we just saw that soundbite, they're trading off their name, what role did that play? Did the person who greenlit that contract know this is a Trump-backed company? Did that play any decision-making in why this happened? The Republicans used to say, back when I was at the Oversight Committee, when Darrell Issa was chairman, the American people have a right to know what is being done with their taxpayer dollars and that it is being spent wisely without any corrupt waste management or abuse.
I will just, before I hand it over to Simone, that's why I see it slightly differently than the way you framed it, which is not a how dumb are you to say this out loud on television. I think this is part of their strategy, that it doesn't look like grift and corruption if you do it out in public and you acknowledge it out in public.
That's true, but it's still Eric. So.
It is Eric, but I think that this plays into a conversation we were having in the break about the president's capacity as well. He is doing all of these things. The administration and also people connected to the president, like his children, are doing these things out in the open. And so it's like, it's not corrupt. We're telling you about it. It's how can it be corrupt? We're doing it in front of you. And it is challenging us all to really confront the truth here.
Yep.
Like it is still corruption if we can see it. Corruption does not only exist in the dark, we can also see corruption in the light.
Well, they also think that they are going to do so much that a year from now, we're not going to remember this particular round of potential corruption, that we're not going to remember that there were all these companies and all these contracts. A year from now, we're not going to be talking about Kristi Noem's $200 million ad campaign and how that came to be. They think that they're going to do so much of it. Democrats particularly will not be able to keep track of it, and then they will thereby get away with it. It's not that they think that no one will notice either. It's that they don't care. They think that they're above the law. They think that they will be able to get away with it because their lived experience to this point has been they have gotten away with it. They are doing it, and who's going to stop them?
Well, and I think there's the president, there's his family, and then there's this headline this week that we all saw about the soldier who was involved in the Maduro raid, was charged with betting on the operation. Let me read you just a little bit of that reporting. Gannon Van Dyke bet a total of approximately $33,034 in the Maduro operation on the prediction market platform Polymarket, federal authorities said. He ultimately made more than $409,000 as a result of the bets placed on the U.S. operation, an unsealed indictment alleges. It's about the fact, Michael, that the corruption starts at the top, but also seeps into the system.
It starts at the top. It's in the middle. It's on the bottom. It's everybody. Everybody's involved because all the bets are off. And I think it's largely because of what you said, that they've normalized it to the point where it's not reported the way I think it should be reported. It's not absorbed by the American people the way I think it should be absorbed, which tells me that House and Senate Democrats will have a tall order in front of them come January of 2027. I said to Robert Garcia, Congressman, this past week, dude, bring the receipt, keep those receipts, because you're going to need to collect on all of this for that accountability.
Well, and it's the old adage, you promote what you permit. And we have seen at the highest level of our government, time and again, the rules apply to other people, not us, not our family. And Democrats are going to have to understand that if they take back the majority and get that subpoena power and get that deposition authority, they're going to have to understand how to use it. And they need to go back, look, frankly, back at the playbook that we used during the Obama years. You need to wield it unapologetically. Don't do it from a position of fear. And make sure that leadership gives you the resources. They need to double the size of their staff. They need to double size of their budget. They need to treat this like it is a law firm. It is Oversight LLC. We have had a lawless, no oversight, no accountability, no checks and balances for going on 4 years. That's going to have to change, and it's going to be up to, hopefully, Speaker Jeffries to make sure that Robert Garcia and Jamie Raskin and all the Democrats that chair committees have the resources to do the job, because there is so much of it. But we cannot move on as a country. We cannot move on from this rot unless we expose all of it.
We've tried that before. It has come back, so might as well do something different.